One of my most asked about topics, motivation. How do I stay motivated? How do I keep motivated to stay on this, to not deviate, to not derail on the weekends? I've heard all of those and so much more. So we're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicki Sharon, and thank you for joining me. I get it. I totally get it. I understand motivation can be really hard to keep up, especially when you've got a lot of external stressors and things going on in your life that can very easily or have very easily derailed you or curbed your attention and motivation in the past. I get it. I totally get it. But let's rewind and start and think about, how do you feel? How did you feel at the beginning when you first started wanting to implement fasting, when you just found out about how to get started with fasting? Maybe you are new entirely to fasting. What is the first reason? What is that first driving, motivating factor for you that caused you to seek out or start to implement fasting in the first place? Was it your state of health? Was it a note or diagnosis from a doctor? Was it a discovery that you made about yourself? Was it just general disdain for the way that you feel? Or, man, I hope that's not this, but the way that you look when you look at yourself in the mirror. Unfortunately, I've been there. I've been there in the past. Whatever the reason is or was that caused you to get started on this in the beginning, this should be or be right next to good friends, best buds with your reason why. What is the core main reason that you felt that you needed to start implementing fasting? What was that reason? Do you have it? Did you write it down? Did you write it down in your official Fasting Focused Lifestyle Handbook? I hope so. I hope that reason why is so big, so heavy, so meaningful that just the thought of losing it, of risking it, its significance in your life brings you to tears. Maybe if you're not a crier like me, maybe it just gets you a little choked up. That's good enough too. That's absolutely good enough as well. Throughout this process, you are going to be challenging every single thing that you've ever thought, felt, believed about weight loss in general. It's all going to be challenged. It's going to push you to uncomfortable places, to uncomfortable mindsets. It's going to challenge everything that you believed that losing weight had to be, had to feel like. And for a lot of us, that's very uncomfortable. That's very hard because we, as a global diet culture obsessed society, have always believed that our endeavors for losing weight, I say that with finger quotes, losing weight is an external, outside of the body sort of process. And it is totally the opposite. It is deep inner healing, inner balance, inner rediscovery, inner reactivation. I'm making up my own words. I'm going with it. Stay with me. You reawaken, recalibrate, reinvigorate parts of you that maybe you thought couldn't come back up. Parts of you that may have been laying dormant for many years since, childhood, adolescence. That mindset, that thought, feeling, and belief that we don't have to stay the victim mentality. We don't have to stay imprisoned feeling inside our own bodies that we live in, that it doesn't have to be that way. I've often said and I think I've heard this too, fasting is the easiest hard thing to do. It really is, because while it may be just deliberately choosing to control when you are eating, it goes so much more than that, because in those moments that we are tested behaviorally, habitually, to when our society and culture says, you got to eat breakfast, it's the most important meal of the day, you come to realize that if you have that stored body fat on you, you can make it through breakfast. You can also make it through lunch. And if you're at the point where you're fat adapted, you can absolutely make it through dinner as well. You can do an extended fast. You can. Like I've said before, side note, don't get into extended fasting without building up that consistency first, please. But the thought and feeling and general belief that I'm starving myself, you're starving yourself. It's not. You are not. Know that your body brilliantly, so intelligently has stored your excess bodily energy aside all in little corners and crevices of your body. If you've got stored body fat, your body has said, hey, they ate a little too much at these times, more than we could use, so we're going to put it in our bodily Tupperware containers, our bodily Ziploc bags, and on the arms, on the legs, in the stomach, on the butt, on your feet. Yeah, on your feet. It is brilliantly stored, that excess bodily energy, all around your body, and it is ready to use and keep using that stored energy as long as you let it, as long as you stay the course, you stay on the path. So while getting started may be really easy breezy, beautiful, we're catching, the first week, it's all new, shiny new toy, and it's super glamorous, and you're going along, and then all of a sudden you have something coming up on the weekend. Somebody asks you to go hang out, to have a night out, to spend time with them, or maybe have a family big gathering dinner on the weekend. And then you discover that you have the triggering craving to break your fast, probably earlier than you had initially intended. So while that can and does often happen with folks as they get through that learning curve with implementation of fasting, these are some things I want you to remember. First off, what are some traits, some personality traits about you that you are so steadfast in with your thoughts, feelings, beliefs? As an example, I'll explain how it relates to me and my deliberate choice with not eating meat or dairy. So I know after having gallbladder surgery back in 2014, I knew exactly the way that my body responds because I tested and I've tried it. The way that my body responds after having meat and dairy. I absolutely do not like the way that my body feels. It's extremely uncomfortable. I have lots of, stomach bubbles and troubles, and without going too far into it, I'll kind of leave it at that. So for me, I know it is absolutely not something I want to experience. And because of that, I have absolutely no problem sticking to eating the way that I do. I don't deviate at all because of what is, quote unquote, my truth. That's what I feel, believe in for me, my health, my goals in the future, and the way that I choose to live. So this would be where I challenge you to pause and think about for a moment, what are things, values that you hold in your life that you would never deviate from, either behaviorally, emotionally, habitually? What are things that you have in your life that you would never see yourself doing? So as odd as it may feel initially, this process with fasting as your lifestyle tool will help you to reintroduce, get to know yourself probably better than you initially thought. And you're going to need to hold on to your reason why so firmly, aggressively, passionately, compassionately, respectfully, lovingly as absolutely possible. No matter what comes along in your life, no matter what threatens to shake your will and determination, staying absolutely tenacious, gritty, and just super passionate about the way that this process can positively affect your life. Know the absolute value that this tool, this method is providing in your life, and hold on to it for dear life, because your life matters. Your life is worthy and deserving to keep as fiery, strong journey as possible. And yes, like I said, there is absolutely going to be times that you are challenged, that your routine, your schedule is going to be challenged. You're going to be tested. Every single one of these moments of hardship, challenge is going to be an opportunity for you to pause immediately, even if you're walking, even if you're driving, even if you're talking to a friend, whatever you're doing that gets you into this mindset of, oh, maybe I really can't do it. Oh, I should just stop. Oh, I should just whatever. Stop. Let your mind bring attention, loving, compassionate attention to what that feeling is. Identify what that feeling is that bubbled up, and console and comfort it like it's your inner toddler. I want you to think about anytime those hard, challenging thoughts and feelings come up from inside of you. Think of it like, if you have children, side note, when your kids are little babies and they start throwing a temper tantrum, is it best to yell and scream at them? Or is it going to be more beneficial to go over to them, scoop them up, and just love on them and just let them know, I hear you, but it's okay. You're loved, you're safe, and I'm here. And it's going to be okay. We'll get through this. Eventually, this practice, if it hasn't already, or even if you've had it in the past and you're needing to rekindle that motivation, that spark, that consistency to keep going, this is a habitual muscle that takes love and compassion to give attention to work on. Every single day is an opportunity. Every single challenge is an opportunity to learn and look from within. And conversely, every time you have a victory, no matter how small, every time that you overcome an obstacle, every time that you turn down a craving or a behavior that would cause you to go backwards, those are moments I encourage you to celebrate, whether silently to yourself or big and out loud, doesn't matter. We need to take inventory to all these little moments, whether positive or negative. These moments are the things that keep us on our path, to remind us what we have overcome when things have been tough and what we're deserving, what we're capable of when things go our way. Many folks that I've spoken to about their success with fasting, like myself, have this firm conviction and value that they put on the integration of fasting into their everyday life. They have such a high regard, respect, love, admiration, and tenacity for this tool, this lifestyle of integrating fasting into their lives, that nothing would shake them out of utilizing it every single day. And for me, like many others out there, utilizing it for the rest of their life to help balance out those imbalances that many of us, like myself, have experienced throughout my life up until finding fasting. and that we don't have to stay in this mindset that spins with negative verbiage of undeserving, unworthy, unloved, ridicule, victim kind of mentality. And that's a horrible, toxic mindset to stay in. And like I've talked about before, those are the mental weeds. Those are the mental weeds that you have to address and chop through and work at to pull up and pull out when they start to grow again. And this is something that should not be quick. This is not going to be a super rapid kind of method that is commonly sold with other weight loss products and gimmicks and fads out there. And I think that does have a contributing factor to why folks do lose motivation on their journey. They come into this process with the expectation that it's going to be X amount of pounds in X amount of days, and your body does not and will not work like that. Your body is ready to release that bodily energy and use the bodily energy that you have brilliantly allowed it to store on your body for later. Now is the time you need to let your body know, by getting into these fasts consistently, that we are ready to use that bodily energy. We are ready to release that bodily energy brilliantly, the way that your body knows how. It absolutely knows how to do it. You have got to just make sure you give your body the opportunity to let it use the body energy that's there. Let your body restore the balances that it brilliantly can and will do. Like I mentioned before, this is going to be a slow process. And before I wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with one great kind of visual analogy that recently came to me. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I want you to think about this as well for your journey. I want you to think about the journey with weight loss, utilizing fasting in comparison to, let's say, ketogenic and thinking it needs to be keto, as a journey. So wherever you are, making a long drive to somewhere that you are so wanting to go, like a long road trip. And for me, I would imagine going from where I live in Central Florida, visiting my family up in New England. So while I know on a map that in Florida, you could go and take Interstate 95 and it would bring you pretty close to, albeit there's a few times you have to get off 95 and go different roads and stuff, but it's generally the highway. And that is the quickest route. Now, I don't know about you all, if you've ever driven on Interstate 95, there are some times where it's not too bad, but for the most part, it's an interstate. It's generally crowded. It's generally full of not very beautiful, scenic sort of stops and routes and detours in general. Now, that's going to be the road with utilizing ketogenic or any other gimmick that you can think of. So while it may get you there, it's probably not going to get you an enjoyable ride. It's not going to be an overall enjoyable experience if you're pushing and hustling, trying to hurry up and get there all the way through. So there may be spurts where you think, oh, this isn't bad. This is good. We're getting there quick. We're getting there. I would then challenge you to think about how much more enjoyable that journey would be if you didn't have a timeline that you needed to be, or self-imposed timeline, deadline that you put on yourself with needing to hurry up and get there as quick as you can, the fastest way possible. And instead took the scenic route. Now, knowing that the scenic route is going to be so much more enjoyable because you know there are plenty opportunities to stop and enjoy your journey along the way, to stop and see these incredible scenic routes and detours along your way that will bring so much emotional fulfillment and just overall pleasure on your journey, so that when you do get to where you're going, you can look back and think, wow, this was an incredible trip. It was long, but wow, oh, this was such an enjoyable journey. Think about that for a minute. Had you ever gone on just a drive to just enjoy going on a drive? I know I have, and I've done it a lot when I first moved down here in Florida in 2007. I used to just go and just drive, just go on a nice scenic drive. So for me, I know absolutely to my core that this method is so worth it. This method, yes, it's going to be a slower, conscious process that you need to be aware of as much as possible to show that appreciation and gratitude, to be attentive to your thoughts, feelings, and emotion when challenges arise. Because all these little moments along your journey add up and make it so much more meaningful to get to your destination, to get to maintenance, to get to where you are able to restore these mental, emotional, hormonal, physical balances that your body is so ready, so excited. It's really excited. Ask your body, I'm sure it's excited to get to. Your body wants to restore that homeostatic balance from within. You can be coming after. You can absolutely do this. If you are in need of support for your fasting journey, I'm here. I'm ready. TheFastingFocusLifestyle.com has my booking calendar and more. And still going on until the end of this September, I'm running a promotion for subscribers for 30 days of fasting support with me in 4 30-minute consults and a digital download bundled together. Or if you just need the handbook, I have that on sale too, just for subscribers. So make sure you're subscribed to thefastingfocusedlifestyle.com. As always, I truly believe in you. Every single one of you. You can do this. You can be coming after. I believe in you, even if you don't. Take care of yourself. Until next time. The Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast. Copyright 2023. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method. Thank you.